Hi, guys. Welcome to Blossoming with Izzy, a podcast where we talk about all things healing and beautiful stories that blossom you into the person you are today. I am with my good friend Jamie today. Hi, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you on. So, before we dive into everything, let's just, talk about how we met
Sure.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, she has her own TikTok account, and that's where we first met, right? Did you
Yes.
reach out to me?
Yeah, so you popped up on my feed and I just saw that you were local to Syracuse. And so I followed you simply for that reason, but also because I like to see what you were doing. And so I was just naturally following you. But I think you popped up because you lost your mom, and I also lost my mom. And so that was another relatable thing. So I think I commented on a couple things, but then you decided to host your first event and you were trying to collect stuff to make baskets, and I jumped right on that, and that's when I messaged you, and that's kind of how this happened.
So Jamie, she also amazing, but her account, she posts cooking videos. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
Sure, yeah. So for about the last year, I kind of took content creation like pretty seriously. I really enjoy to cook, and I was finding that I wasn't having joy in cooking because I was making a meal that's meant for 4 to 6 people. And then I'd be like, oh my God, well, I have to eat this like 4 to 6 days in a row, or I have to freeze it. And it always dies in my fridge or freezer.
Yep.
No matter what I do, maybe I'll eat it twice, maybe 3 times. And I was just wasting so much food. But then I was like, how can I do food content as a single person if I'm making recipes this size? So really, it started out of being forced to want to make more content. So I was like, well, I'll just scale these recipes. And then I was like, wait, why haven't I been doing this
Yeah.
my entire adulthood?
Yeah.
And it just kind of grew from there.
She posts. I love her videos. I love watching them. They're just so aesthetic. How she cooks it. Can you talk about how you film?
Sure.
We'll get into. We have a million things to go over, but can you talk about how you film with your cooking
Yes.
videos? Like, what do you use as content creator to content creator? I want to know it all because you use both your hands in your videos.
Yes. So up until probably the last 6 weeks to 2 months, I've been just using my cell phone and a tripod. But I have a tripod with an arm so that I can adjust the height and tip it and stuff like that. And one of the keys to video production is you want a variety of shots from different angles. You want wide shots, medium shots, and tight shots. And it subconsciously helps your audience feel like it's moving fast. So when you vary up your shots, it really kind of keeps the video moving. And as you know, to be monetized on these apps, a lot of them have rules about how long they have to be. So and we all have the attention span of a goldfish. So anything you can do to keep people's focus, which includes pacing. So varying up your camera shots is important. Cooking takes longer when you're recording it, but I also have lighting. Because my kitchen's kind of lit weird. But also in terms of the aesthetic, I live in a mid-century modern house. I'm only the second owner of the house.
Yeah.
It has bluish green countertops, and I love that. So I kind of tried to lean into that so that it was aesthetically pleasing to some sense, but also realistic. Like, I am not a chef by any means, so none of my food looks chefy. It just looks like somebody made it in their kitchen, but I think that that's relatable.
Yeah, I agree. I'm always curious to hear more tips in the content creation wise.
Yeah.
For any of our listeners that are interested in getting into content creation, even cooking or anything like that, do you have any tips or anything you could advise for people up and coming with content creation?
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
I think the first one is just do it. Do your best to be like, even if I think this was bad, I should just post this, because you never know what's going to connect with somebody, and what they're going to enjoy. I would also say, like, don't try to stay in a lane. Like, try different things. How I started a year ago is vastly different than what I do now.
Yeah.
My other tip would probably be, if something is working, repeat it. Like, maybe don't do it exactly the same, but do something along the same vein.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say pigeonholed because I do eat this kind of food, but people love when I do a tiny casserole.
Yeah.
It's like the idea of a casserole being small, like, just does it for some people, I guess. And then also weirdly, I think one thing that has helped is if you've seen any of my videos, I have an ashtray in the video, but the ashtray
You
has
rest the spoon on it.
yes, it's a new life. I don't smoke. We found it. My grandparents moved in with my family when I was in the 10th grade, and my grandmother just died last year. And when we were going through her stuff, there was this random ashtray. She had quit cold turkey before my oldest cousin was ever born, so it's like decades old, that we'd never seen before. And my dad was like, "Oh, this is mid-century. You should take it for your house." And I was like, "Oh, I could use this as a spoon rest."
I saw that before, and I was like, that's unique. I've never, thought about it like that.
And so now half my comments are about single-serve recipes, and the other half are about the fact that I use an ashtray as a spoon rest.
It's like one of those spoon rests that has the little ridges in it. So she puts the spoon in between it.
Yes, and it holds multiple. So, like, that's why I like it, because I am a person who doesn't use, like, a couple dishes. Like, I use, like, every dish I have. And like every spoon and spatula I have. And so it having multiple slots means they don't touch each other, which I also like, and that I can use multiples.
I love that. I did notice that in your video, and I was like, that is so unique. But you gotta be smart about it. I love it.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you love to cook the most?
Well, my favorite food is macaroni and cheese.
Same, girl.
Yeah.
I
But
feel like I am a mac and cheese connoisseur.
yes. But I like to cook almost anything. I'm really trying to figure out baking. I've always been a baker as well, but scaling baking is different, because like with cooking, I just throw stuff in until it feels right.
Yeah.
But baking is like a science. So it's like scaling that takes a lot more brain power. So I haven't really like fully gone into that.
Yeah. You do content creation. Is this your part-time?
This was just for fun.
Just for fun?
Yes.
Do you mind me asking, do you do any, I know that you monetize, but do you do any brand deals? Do you make any income off of your...
Yeah, so my content is monetized on TikTok and Facebook. I would like to take it to the next level, but this isn't my main job.
Yeah.
I literally just started this for fun. So I'm hoping this summer to take some time to like think about what's next. I want to do what's next for me and like what feels right for me, rather than maybe what's traditionally done. And maybe those two things do end up lining up. I just don't know yet, but I do think that I'm in a place where I need to capitalize off of what I've been doing.
Yeah. How many followers do you have?
On TikTok, I am 3,000 shy of 100,000 followers, which is insane to me and awesome.
I have 6,000.
Yes.
So,
yes, but
like,
you're growing and you're doing a wonderful job. On Instagram, I have 80,000. On Facebook, I have 330,000. And on YouTube, I'm almost to 10K.
Oh, you post on YouTube too?
I want to start doing, I guess to kind of answer your previous question, I want to start doing longer form content.
Yeah.
But you have to think about longer form content in a different way. So I just have to get in the brain space to, be ready to do that.
Wow. I get all... Wow, I'm kind of speechless because I remember meeting you, and then, your account is just, I love watching your videos. I'm enthralled all the time, but I just think that is just amazing. I want to get more into that, but I want to get back into that for your main job. What do you do primarily?
I am currently a journalism professor.
A professor?
Yes.
Okay. Can we let's just get to know you a little bit more.
Yes.
How did you get into that? Where'd you go to school?
Yes. I did my undergrad at SUNY Albany, and I got a degree in political science and didn't want to do anything with politics. I kind of fell into that, but while I was there, I did a semester in Washington, D.C., where I interned for C-SPAN. And I think a lot of people hear C-SPAN and they want to fall asleep. But it was the best, to this day, best job / internship I've ever had. I had so much fun. And then I was like, maybe I should go into this. And so I looked into grad schools, and I went to Syracuse for my graduate work.
Yeah.
And from there, I was a producer in Buffalo, in New York City at 2 different stations.
My jaw is like on the floor because I know her on the different level, but not all this. But
yes.
Continue.
Yeah, so after New York City, I actually went back to Buffalo to become an executive producer, and I was there for 4 years before going to Washington, D.C., and I was an executive TV news producer there for 2 years before taking this job as a professor, and I've been here 3 years.
Wow. You're at SU?
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you.
You love being a professor.
Yeah.
What is your day-to-day like?
So it's interesting because it's very drastic from what I did previously. So each day is a little bit different when we are actually in the academic year. Some days I'm teaching, some days I'm grading, some days I'm doing a combo of both. There's also, like, beyond the students, there's service you have to do to the school. So I'm on committees and have meetings and stuff like that. And then the type of professor I am, which is a professor of practice, I have to stay connected to industry. So I'm doing a couple other things on the side to make sure that what we're teaching the students is actually what's currently happening in the industry.
Wow. That's very cool.
Thank you.
Honestly. Do you feel like this is going to be your forever career?
I don't know. I really like it right now. I like working with the students. What I really enjoy is when it clicks for them, like what you're teaching them all comes together and it starts to it's like they take the time to learn it. And then once they get it, it's like rapid fire after that. Our biggest course, our capstone course, we simulate a full day in a newsroom. So I'm there from 9 to 5:30, and so are the students. And they go through all of the roles inside of a newsroom. And in the beginning, that can be a little rough because they've never had to put all of that together.
Yeah.
But by the end, it's almost as if I'm not even there because they've got it down so well. But also the things that they know and the things that they try, the boxes they push themselves out of is like, it's really inspiring. I remember in my first year talking to one of my friends who is still currently a journalist and saying, like, there's just, like, on a college campus, there's so much hope. Like, people are so optimistic. The students are looking forward to their future. And I think that that's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. I'm listening to all this, and you're very knowledgeable.
Thank you.
You're well spoken, and you just really, you just seem very smart.
Thank you.
I know you're very smart, but you really know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, my brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But it's great. Well, did you grow up in the Albany area?
No, I grew up in the Binghamton area.
Binghamton.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, not to get heavy, but I know you mentioned earlier, and we've talked about this, you lost your mom as well.
Yes.
Would you care to talk a little bit about her?
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of your story?
Yeah. So my mom died in 2012 at the age of 53 from ovarian cancer. She had it for 5 years. She was diagnosed when I was a junior in high school. And she, I believe, went into remission twice and had it 3 times. She was diagnosed in Binghamton with stage 4, and my parents ultimately made the decision that she wouldn't be treated there. So she was treated in New York City at Sloan Kettering. And sometimes 2-3 times a month, we were driving her down for doctor's appointments or treatments. And as I'm sure you know, that's a lot. That can be a lot. Our lives, my dad is very much a person who says, you got to deal with the hand you're dealt, and we're just going to do what we have to do. And that's very much how we treated her illness. My parents did a good job of our life not changing too much, just kind of adding this additional layer to it. And so I was actually in grad school at SU when she died. And it was difficult, is probably, that doesn't even describe it, as you know. And it's hard to describe to people who've never been through it. But she lived for 5 years with the disease, and ovarian cancer is one, they refer to it as the silent killer because often all of the symptoms can be brushed off as like indigestion and all that other kind of stuff.
Similar to my mom had pancreatic.
Yes, and so the fact that we got 5 more years with her and she made it through my high school and my undergrad graduation, and she made it to see her first grandchild, I think we were all pretty thankful for that.
How many siblings do you have?
I'm the youngest of 3 girls. Yeah.
Well, my heart goes out for you because
Thank
we're
you.
in that's kind of why we gravitated, not primarily why we gravitated towards each other, but you were a really big help when I had my first event with fundraisers and tips and tricks for fundraisers and things like that. And, you know, so we're unfortunately in that same boat that we don't have our moms.
Yeah.
But you, thankfully, you're close with your dad, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
with
very
your
close
dad.
with my whole family. That's honestly why I came back to Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to coming back for this job, I never lived closer than 3.5 hours away, and I was the only one. Both my sisters and their families live in
Yeah.
Binghamton. My dad is one of 6, and 2/3 of them live in Binghamton.
Wow.
My mom's whole family lives in Binghamton.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really close with my sisters and my dad, so I was just kind of tired of not being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just you and your dad here.
No, both. So my dad is in Binghamton still.
Oh, okay. I
Yes.
just went right over my.
Yeah, no, that's okay. My dad's in Binghamton, as are both of my sisters. Yeah.
Well, good. We talked about a little bit about our grief together
Yes.
and some signs that your mom is very much present and very much there.
Yeah.
You know, would you mind talking about what kind of things you see?
Yeah, of course.
I'm very curious because, you know, since we have that connection, you know, obviously grief has no time limit or anything like that. But, you know, my mom just passed away last year.
Yes.
So I'm curious just from each other, what you kind of see and,
Yeah.
you know, what you've experienced in your grief.
Yeah. What I'll say is the first year is I don't even know how you think straight.
Yeah.
Like I used to just tell people if I got up and did what I was supposed to do that day, that was enough. I just had to keep going. And it was filled with a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Like I had a lot of fun that year, partly because I was like, you know what? Life is short. I'm going to do whatever I want to. And so I did a lot of really cool things. But that was balanced with a lot of really awful, you know, black holes, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, and it's hard to pull yourself out of those. I think the thing that helped me the most right when she passed away was a coworker. My sisters and I worked at Wegmans all at the same time at one point. And we had a coworker there who said to us, it doesn't get easier. You just learn how to live with it. And there is a graphic that I've seen online where you imagine your life like a mason jar. And when your loved one first dies, when you have that grief, your grief fills the entire mason jar. The size of that grief never changes, but as your life grows, the mason jar gets bigger. You know? And so you just kind of learn.
I'm going to tear up.
Yeah, you just kind of learn how to cope better, what things trigger you, what things to stay away from, when to honor her, when to tell stories about her. And I think that that's important. But to your question, I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
And while I'm not practicing anymore, I do believe that there is life on the other side, that her soul went somewhere. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you if I thought she just went into the oblivion.
Yeah.
But on the same note, and my mother, when she was alive, took me to see a medium and took me to see a psychic. And at the time, I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But since she has passed, I no longer think it's crazy. I think that I get a lot of signs. The first one was probably like 3 months after she passed. I was in a 3-hour class, and we got a 15-minute break. And my best friend was like, do you want to go get ice cream? And my mom's favorite food was ice cream. Like, she could tell you how to get anywhere in upstate New York by ice cream stands.
Oh, my God.
Like, I'll never forget, we went to her, she would kill me if I told you this, but we went to one of her aunt's funerals. And we were driving back, and she said to my dad, she was like, hey, there's an ice cream stand around the corner. And we were like, why do you know this? And, you know, and so we went and got ice cream. So anyways, 3 months after she passed, we went down the street to get ice cream. And it was one of those froyo places that you fill it yourself and then you weigh it and you pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, it was raining outside, so I only brought like my debit card. We weighed it. I handed it over to him. He handed it back. There was like no exchange of money. And we went back to class, and I took the first bite, and in my ice cream was a dime. And so they say coins are a sign from people on the other side, specifically pennies and dimes, sometimes quarters. And I was like, this is wild. There's no way.
I didn't know that. I
Yes.
have chills all over my body
Yes.
right now.
Yes. And I was like, there's no way. And so I get dimes all the time when I'm having a hard time, when I'm thinking about her, when I'm indecisive. My friends get dimes. Like, I have friends who text me and like, I was having an awful day and your mom showed up, and it'll be like and it's like dimes where they're not supposed to be. Like, so obviously if you open your purse and there's a dime, I wouldn't take that as a sign. But like, I've never taken a job without a sign.
Yeah.
I one time was really struggling at work, and I worked overnights. And so before I went to bed, I just said to my mom, I was like, I just need you to send me a sign if taking this next job is the right call. I wish that I could call you right now, like that I could just pick up the phone. And I was just talking to the ceiling. And I went into work the next day, and right next to the phone was a dime. And so
My goodness.
yes, I firmly believe in those signs. Another one, this one usually freaks a lot of people out. My mother's brother was at the end of his life after she had passed. And I had said to her, please just let me know that he's okay and that he's going to be okay. And I was working overnights at the time, and I went into work, and where I was sitting was a little bit higher up than the rest of the newsroom. And we had a printer for those specific computers. And I was trying to print something, and it said it was out of paper. So I refilled the paper, and one sheet of paper came out, and the only thing on it was her first name.
Oh my goodness, my hair is standing on my arm.
Yeah. And then today, I
Got
mentioned
a sign today.
I mentioned to you that my mom loved ice cream. And today was the first day that the coffee shop that I brought us coffee from was doing ice cream themed specials. And we were doing this today. So that was my
I'm
sign.
gonna start crying.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I think I truly think getting signs is about you being open to it. And while some people might explain them away as coincidences, maybe even if that is true, it's like, but it brings me comfort and it makes me feel like I'm close to her still. So I'm going to take it as a sign.
I have tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that because it's just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could talk to you for like hours about signs and stuff like that. Yeah.
I just. It's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's just. It can't even put it into words.
Right.
You know?
You can't explain it like to anyone. My mom's been gone almost 14 years now, and I think on the 10th anniversary of her death, I had posted on social media, and the way I described it is like when your mom dies, you're in a black hole. Mm-hmm. And for the first year, you're like sitting at the bottom of it, and you're nowhere near the top to get out. Yeah. And then as the years go on, you're like crawling out. And I would say now, and I said this then, it's almost like I sit on the edge of the hole, like my feet are dangling in it, but I'm mostly in the sun now, like and enjoying life and loving life. And it's hard because sometimes I fall in, like especially when there's something big happening in life, positive or negative. And it's like, I don't have her to talk to. I don't have her to calm me down. I don't, that kind of thing. But then it's also still really great because I'm accomplishing all these things, and I know she would be proud of me, and I know she would want to witness that. And I choose to believe that she is witnessing it.
I have tears. It's just because this just hits so close to home. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I'm just speechless just because it's so heavy and it's so sad. Even with my following, I've gained a lot of my followers because of this grief and loss and parent loss. And it's so heavy. It's the most unimaginable pain in the world, losing a parent, and losing anybody to that magnitude, of course. And that's why just talking on the podcast, I think it's really healthy to talk about it, because for anybody that is grieving or navigating a loss, some people just decide that it's not to talk about it, but then it becomes not a healthy way to cope.
Yeah. I truly believe that talking about it helps anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe for me, it's a way to keep her alive here on this side. And so, I was really the first in my friend group. I was 22 to have lost a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, a lot of my friends have lost a parent since then. And I always felt, I don't want to say a responsibility, but I always felt like I needed to let them know that they weren't alone because I had nobody to go to. I mean, I had my family, but we were all experiencing the grief in our own ways and that kind of thing. And it's hard. It's really hard. And so anytime I see somebody who's dealing with that, with something similar, like I feel like it's important to tell them like you should talk about them, but also open that door and be like, hey, you're not alone. There's other people here, and while our situations might not be identical, I think talking about the person like helps you feel connected, but also helps you process.
It's another thing going into, how different everybody copes with their grief. It's just, I have taken back so much and learned so much in this process.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, you have your family, and thankfully for me, I have some amazing friends, and I have my husband. But it's just hard because you kind of, did you ever experience did you ever experience that you recognize people that really kind of show that who weren't meant to be in your life after
Mm-hmm.
loss?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think
It brings out characters,
mm-hmm.
and it shows you life in a complete different perspective.
Yeah, I think you learn a lot about people, but I also think you learn that a lot of people can't handle tough situations. We had quite a few people that were close to my mom, and their reactions to her at the end of her life were like, I was like, what are you, I was kind of, I can kind of laugh about it now, but at the time I was like, what are you doing? Like, or why are you shocked? Like, you knew that, this was where we were. And then, those are the times when you do pay attention to who shows up and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first year, especially, is after like 3 months, is really lonely because your life is still at a standstill and everybody else's life has gone on as normal because they didn't lose their mother. And not that they're being malicious in that, but your life isn't moving.
Yeah, your life is just...
Yeah, and so,
Yeah.
The people who really stood out to me were the people who checked in after that point and really are the people that I'm still close with.
Yeah.
And I had a couple friends come from out of town when my mom was dying and went and visited her in the hospital, which I never would have asked anybody to do because, that's very difficult. And those people are the people I talk to the most.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate, I'm really happy that you have your dad and your siblings. Because unfortunately, I've talked about this. I kind of have a different relationship with my dad because my parents were divorced, and I don't have siblings. And as much as I have surrounding me, I feel so alone sometimes. So I guess just what do you have to say for any listeners that are also going through that?
Yeah.
When you feel so alone, what are some ways to, what do you remind yourself, or, what do you tell yourself when you're feeling like that, like you just are in such a pit and that you're just lost and that there's no way to get out of this pit? What do you tell yourself?
Yeah. So the first thing I'll say is, I have a wonderful family. My dad is amazing. My sisters are amazing, but we all handle grief different, and we all had different responsibilities. My dad still had to take care of his mother. She lived with him, and he had to figure out how to live life without the partner that he'd lived the last 30-some years with. My middle sister had a child, and so she had to handle her grief and still be a parent and still be a wife. And my oldest sister also had to do that. And I was the only one not physically there. Like, not when she passed, but like I was the only one not physically in my hometown, So I felt alone. not because of anything they did, but because I felt like I was on an island. You know, my support system was not where I was, and there was nothing I could do about that. And I would say the first thing to do is to take care of yourself, because you can't do anything else if you're not taking care of yourself. So when you're having an incredibly hard day, what are the things that you can do to make you feel better? I had a friend who, there were times where I was in such a dark hole that I wanted somebody else there, but I didn't want to talk. And I had a friend, and she'd come over and we'd literally sit in silence on the couch. And that's all I needed. I just needed another person there if I needed to say something out loud. But I didn't want the pressure of feeling like I had to talk if I didn't want to. You know, I would say do fun things. And do things that you enjoy. You just went to how many concerts? I have been watching your stuff, and I'm like, girl, I need to go with you. I'm so jealous.
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I went to a Taylor Swift concert within months of her dying, and I'm a huge Swiftie. I went to a New York Giants game because they're my favorite sports team to watch, and I just did it. When I moved to New York City, I flew to LA to visit a friend. And, you know, my dad was like, shouldn't you be paying attention to, like, what kind of money you're spending? And I was like, I'm in my 20s, leave me alone. But also doing those fun things, like, helped remind me that life is still worth living and can still be fun. But if you can't do those big gestures, what small things make you feel better? You know, making your favorite food, going to your favorite restaurant. I went on a lot of walks, and I specifically chose places that were pretty to look at, because sometimes I just wanted to, like, I don't know, I guess be reminded that life in this world can be beautiful when it feels like it's not. You know, so walks helped me a lot. And I think that looks different for everybody. Like, what brings you joy, even if it's like this much joy and won't make that much of a difference? I think small things add up over time. And so the more small things you do for yourself, the better it is to learn how to cope.
I'm just going to cry because I really, you know, everything that you said, it's even helped me. And I hope, you know, our listeners, it's the point is, I started content creation, sharing my life, you know, after I lost my mom, just to share my life after grief, after loss. And it's, you know, turned into this beautiful platform. And then what else I could do more and to spread awareness. And then I find, you know, these conversations are important to have, because a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to have another parent, or aren't married, or have a boyfriend or siblings or anything. And life can just really get you sometimes, and it can feel really, really, really lonely. And I think you have just blossomed into a beautiful person.
Thank you.
And I can see you're so hardworking, and I find you quite admirable in so many different aspects, truly. And I know it took a lot to get there.
Yeah, because you're doing the hard work right now. And I think that that's important to remind yourself. I think the best thing you can do for yourself is to think about, if your best friend told you that they felt the way you feel right now, what would you say to them? And turn that back on yourself. So everything you just said to me is what you should be saying to yourself, because you're getting up every day and you're doing it, you know, and you're building the platform, and you're doing this podcast, and you're being a good friend, you know, and you're living life. And I never knew your mom, but I'm sure that that's exactly what she'd want you to be doing.
Oh, this was a very touchy episode, but I think it's really important to have these conversations, and it meant so much to me that you're here today.
Thank you for having
sharing
me.
your story. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the listeners? Anything, you know, anything?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, take care of you, and so find your support system, the ones that truly support you, and hang on tight to those.
And know that you're not alone in this world. As hard as it feels, and as lonely as it can feel sometimes, that you're never alone. And there are some amazing outlets like I took to content creation, and I share my hot mess of a life. You know, grief is not linear, and it's ever changing, and it's going to be different every day, and you're going to go through all the emotions and feel all different kinds of ways. something's going to remind you of something, you know, from that day. But you will be able to get through it. And there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Well, guys, I might go cry. But this was a beautiful episode because it was so close to my heart. And this podcast just means everything to me. And I just keep reminding myself that my mama is up there and she's so proud of the work that I'm doing. And your mama is also up there and she's so proud of you because I think you're amazing.
Thank you. I think you're pretty awesome too.
Thank you for watching Blossoming with Izzy. I hope you enjoyed this episode.